Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Curry Parker. Welcome to the Understanding Human Design podcast. And I'm here today with quantum human design specialist Michelle Wolff. And she is going to share with us some information that might strike you at the heart of your being. And we're going to start our conversation today by talking about what I think is one of the biggest challenges facing not just business people, but everyone, is the theme of procrastination. Welcome, Michelle. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
So I want to talk about procrastination for a minute, because I think that's a good opening place for us to talk about the rest of the things we want to talk about, because procrastination is an issue, and it's especially an issue, I think, for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
One of the things that I always talk about with people is, you can have all these big ideas, like I'm going to be a best-selling author and I'm going to make a bajillion bucks doing my business. But if you don't knuckle down and like get the darn book written, or build the darn website, right? Or get your logo designed, or whatever it is, it's not going to happen. So why do people procrastinate? And especially entrepreneurs.
Well, I think, there's lots of different factors. I think, and I know we'll come back to it, but for me, the bottom line is we're not in our body. We've been taught to live in our head. And from an early age, we're taught to just go unconscious of our physical self, which makes us comfortable spinning around, thinking. But thinking doesn't get things accomplished. You do have to actually do some things.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to do them in alignment with our type, strategy, and authority. And there's ways to do that. But I think for most entrepreneurs, if you didn't grow up in a family who had built a business or ran a business, you don't really understand that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's the tedious little, sometimes you have to bribe yourself to do stuff. But there's the tiny little daily actions that have to be taken that then lead to what people see out on in the interwebs, like there's a lot going on. But if you don't know that, what you're presented with is, well, just do these things and then you'll magically have a business. And people will start to do those things, and then they run up into their conditioned beliefs and their stories and all the limits about being, especially as a woman, like, oh, you can't be you can be powerful, but not too powerful. You can say what you want, but not too much. So as soon as you start taking action, you run into these limits. And then people just get overwhelmed and stop. And then, like the book thing, people are like, oh, a bestseller, not realizing that you have to write the pages and put the words in the thing consistently every day to get a book that can then become a bestseller. So they'll start writing, and then all the limitations and the conditioned responses come in, and it just grinds everything to a halt.
Absolutely. And I love your perspective, and I find it so refreshing. I've been an entrepreneur literally my whole life. I always joke, I had one job and I lasted 6 years. And as it turns out, it was a job where I had to take orders, and I don't take orders well.
Yeah.
But I've always said that I'm not comfortable telling people, look, if I can do it, you can do it, because A, that's not true.
Not true.
And B, as you just mentioned, the one thing that I have that I can't give to anybody else is I do have an advantage, and that is both of my parents did have their own business, and they were entrepreneurs, and I witnessed them growing their business. My dad got laid off when he was 42 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And he had been working at this job from the time that he had been 20. And they had to build a business in their mid 40s. They lost all their retirement. They lost all my college money. They had to build from that place into something new. And it was, they had at that time, they had a telex machine set up in the guest bedroom. They were answering telexes in the middle of the night. It was not, hey, just put together a website, use this Facebook strategy, and boom, you're viral and a millionaire.
Right.
It was years of grinding. Now, I don't think we have to grind. We also have to note that my parents are both 3420 manifesting generators. So that's a little bit of a different thing
Yeah.
going on there too. But
Yeah.
there is a certain amount of, you got to do the scut work, and or you have to get yourself into a mindset as quickly as you can that you're going to outsource some of the scut work as
Right,
soon as you
right, right. You've got to figure out your own way, or you've got to pay somebody else to do it.
absolutely.
But it doesn't
So
get done.
what do you do that helps people get out of that spinning in their head and into their body, and how do you do that with human design?
Well, what I love about human design is it gives you an anchor.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell my clients, like, I'm going to give your mind some candy that it can, or give your, I call it my border collie brain, and it likes to chew on bones. And if you don't give it a bone to chew on, it will eat the furniture. So we have to give our brain something. And to talk about limiting beliefs and past trauma, and I do believe trauma can be a factor and all the things, it's too abstract.
Mm-hmm.
And human design gives us a thing that you can hold in your hand and you can look at it and you can keep coming back to your body. Like, go spin out on the details and come back to your body. And then go spin out and come back to your body. And when we have, like, oh, I just need to come back to my authority, which is in my body. Oh, I'm spinning again. Let me just come back to my body. And it's structured. So the course I have is less hustle, more human design, because I don't believe in grinding. When we're in connected to our body, we'll do things highly efficiently, and the stuff will get done or outsourced.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have plenty of time because we're not wasting time spinning around and yelling at ourselves all day. So when so what I do is I just break it down into one day. Just, I have a past background in addictions counseling and being a trauma therapist, and the one day at a time model is incredible. And then when you put that with human design and go, okay, let me pick just 3 tasks. And one of those tasks might be take a nap, and one of those tasks might be to procrastinate. Just put it on your list. You know you're going to do it anyway. Just get honest about it, put it on your list, and then you have at least one thing you can check off. And when we get honest with it and break it down teeny tiny into 3 tasks for the day, checking in with your authority. I have people spend 10 minutes before they even start that, connecting to the deva or the angel or the energy of their business, whatever you want to call it. Then they make the 3 tasks. And at the end of the day, they review it. Did you do it or not? And in the review, which is the part most people avoid doing, we can determine, okay, I didn't do them. I meditated, I got the information, I put the 3 tasks down, and I didn't do them. And that's where you can figure out, is it a limiting belief? Is it a lack of knowledge? Like, I don't know how to build it, I don't know the mechanics of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a fear that I'm going to be a powerful woman and that's not such a great thing in our culture? You can figure out where the problems are. So, which is so efficient, right? Why
Right.
waste time doing a bunch of affirmations and things if that's not the problem? It's the fear of, I don't know how to do this. And in school, if you don't know how to do something, you get a bad grade and then you're a bad kid. Like, it's all these things layered, but we can bring it back to your strategy and authority and a 24-hour plan, and don't go any further.
Mm-hmm.
So your brain can chew on the details of your human design while you're sneaking up on getting comfortable with being in your body and taking direction from your body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So, the other piece that I think is so brilliant about that is it allows people to sort of deal with each day as a building block too, because I
Yeah.
think, you know, there is a certain amount of, you got to just put the time in to the
Mhm.
business building, and that's okay. There's no
Yeah.
shame in it. Takes a little bit of time to get it
Yeah.
to roll.
Yeah.
And if you're being at peace with yourself and not flagellating and beating yourself up for it,
Right.
then
Right.
you're also not resisting your own self in the process of
Right.
creating.
Well, and a lot of us have that internal teenager that's like, don't tell, if you tell me what to do, I am really not going to do it. Even if I want to do it. Now
Mm.
I'm not going to do it because you told me to, you know? So, and I'm definitely that person. Like, even if I want to, just because you said it, now I'm going to struggle to get it done.
Mhm.
So if we just start diving into deconditioning this tendency we have to lie to ourselves about what we're actually doing. You
Uh-huh.
know, and then we can just say, okay, I know I'm going to lay on the couch for 4 hours. I do it every day. I beat myself up about it, which doesn't get anything done, which actually might make me lay on the couch even longer. So just you put that on your list and you start telling yourself the truth. Okay, I know I'm going to lay on the couch for 4 hours. So that's a business task today. And then you just immediately diffuse the internal power struggles that we can get into. Like, you've got to write 2,000 words today or you're not going to get your book done. And, but there's a fear under there that's keeping you from writing your 2,000 words for the day or whatever. So you just go unconscious, tell yourself a cute little lie about, well, I'll get it done tomorrow, or I'll get it done, whatever. But just go ahead and be honest about it. And then it short circuits that war.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it starts to spread out into the rest of people's lives. And you can just be honest and short circuit the internal warring, which, to get philosophical for a second, I think that's where we have to go. If we don't stop the internal war, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
very hard to get a grip on these external wars.
Oh,
Um,
totally, totally. I mean, to me, that is the reason for human design. If
yeah,
we're moving towards an era of peace, we can't create peace if we're not at peace. We can't be sustainable in a world where there's a challenge for resources if we ourselves are not sustainable personally.
right,
So that's
right.
brilliant.
And the body is the answer to all of that. Like, if we're disembodied and out of our body, which really, yeah, like, you can't actually, like, tell people all the time, like, you can't actually exit your body. If you do that, you're dead. That's what dead is. You're not in your body. You know? But we create these compartments where we go unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so what I love about human design is, like, everything boils down to you making decisions with the body and reversing that flow, which is when clients start coming and money starts coming, which is then throws up more limiting beliefs that you have to deal with. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse. But when we when we think, oh, I'm getting into my becoming aware of my body so that I can make good decisions, so that I can make money, it's a little bit of a carrot, right? Oh, I've got to get embodied so I can make the decisions that will fill the bank account. So that's like that sneak attack for the mind, like, oh, you're pursuing money by becoming conscious of your body on the surface. But then all these other unravelings happen, and deep peace starts to become possible. It's not possible when we're living just in this part of ourselves.
Totally, totally. Well, and I think I always tell my husband, when you look at the human design chart, it clearly shows that real life happens below the neck.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and there is something about the idea that even in business, we have a geomagnetic force that's in our heart that knows what's the next thing you're supposed to be doing. And it oftentimes, if you're not connected to it, it defies what your reasoning logical mind is telling you should be
It's
doing. What
almost the
is the
opposite
plan?
sometimes.
Yeah, totally. And that whole idea of like sitting with the coach and crafting your plan for the year. Not that there isn't anything, that there's anything wrong with having a plan, but on a certain level, that dropping into this space
Mhm.
reveals the plan sequentially, step by step, and you don't have to figure it all out and be, running on some calendar that isn't even working and you're not in alignment with. So, what
Right.
a brilliant way to help people, synchronize with the entity that is their business. So
Yeah.
beautiful,
And
beautiful work.
on a 24-hour plan, I think there's less fear that you're going to screw it up. Like, okay, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to listen to my body for one day. That's not going to screw everything up. It's just one, you know. It's like, but then when they do follow the impulse to take a nap instead of grind out some more content, and then they notice that later that evening or the next day, all of a sudden, all this content pours out so easily, just a few of those little results of the experiment that are so positive, um, then just, leads faith to do it again and do it again and do it again. And then when that all results in some ka-ching, then they're hooked.
Totally. So you're getting ready to lead a brand new program. It's not a brand new program. It's a program that
The
you've
new
actually
round,
led a,
yeah.
and you've sold out like within like a day of every time you've launched this program, you've sold out. So
Mhm.
talk to us a little bit about your program. Give us the name, give us the title, tell us what you're going to do, and tell us when it starts.
Okay. So it is, the title is Less Hustle, More Human Design,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm very devoted to people getting off of the hustle mindset because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work and it's exhausting. And when we give our brain the things to think about, our mind, when we shift it toward human design, it's so complex and so fascinating that your brain can get involved in that. And so what I did is I structured an 8-week program where the first 3-ish weeks is going over the human design, the type, strategy, and authority, and some mindset stuff, and the daily practice, the 24-hour business plan, the one day at a time thing. And then the rest of the time is coaching and supplemental stuff. So I have Heather Westmoreland was my apprentice forever, and now she's like co-facilitating this group. So she provides the NLP, like emotional skills and things like that, on Mondays, and then the classes on Wednesday. So you're getting it from both directions, the mind direction, the body direction. We're talking about shame. We're talking about what happens when you notice that you're not taking actions. What is that? Like, is it fear? Is it shame? Is it just lack of experience? So we start ferreting that out. So 2 hours a week. So they go out and try it and then come
Mm-hmm.
back, and then we coach on it. And there's a Facebook group where we're both available to answer questions, usually just within a few minutes or hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, start small. And here's the big reason. So we go micro meta all the time. And then there's the practical skills and the emotional skills and the spiritual discussions and the philosophy of it all. So I like what you said earlier about the 1 year plan, because that's what we do. Like, we say, this is where we're starting. Here's a structure that our mind can rest in while we practice being the river in between all that.
Mm-hmm.
So we set a target, that's fine. It gives you a place. The example I use is, a lake doesn't get a lot done. It's just a lake. It's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of there. But if you open that lake and put some banks down a mountainside, that water starts to rush and really gain momentum. But the structure has to be there for that to happen. So we set the structure, ask them to go be fluid with that. We model how to be fluid with that, because we'll shift and change based on each group. Each group has its own dynamic, right? So we shift and change. And then after that, after they first start putting in that 24-hour plan, they start to feel better. And then they start to recognize, oh, I think this about that. And that, I wonder if I want to keep doing that. Like, it doesn't seem to be helping me much. And then getting honest with, I'm actually not busy all the time. I'm thinking busy all the time. So I'm burning myself out while I'm laying on the couch doing nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's exposing all of that. So we have that 8-week structure, and then we're fluid within it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. That's
And so
beautiful.
we set goals in the beginning and notice how those goals change, from, because they're always mental goals, right? When they come in, it's a mental goal. I need 7 clients in 30 days, or whatever they've been taught. And so it's like, no, I actually need a different kind of food. I need a different kind of sleep pattern. I need to exercise less or exercise more. This is what I actually need. This is what my body is asking for. And I notice that when I listen to my body more than my mind, not trying to kill the ego, we're not about that. Hearing the mind, hearing the barking, bark, 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 but paying attention to and making decisions from that still, quiet place, and
Mm-hmm.
then watching the results as they happen over the weeks.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So your next cycle starts when?
February 24th.
Okay. And people can learn more about this where?
It's thatmichellewolff.com. It's right there at the top, or it's thatmichellewolff.com/less hustle.
Okay.
Then you can read about it. You can sign up for it directly from the page. The minute we hit between 10 and 13, I run in there and shut the page down so you can't sign up. Because we want to keep it small so that everybody can have opportunity for coaching, because that's where the learning happens, right? Somebody asks a question because they're struggling, and then other people are like, oh, I'm kind of doing that too. I'm a big fan of peer-to-peer learning and the energy that comes when you get a group of people together.
Beautiful. Now I want to spell this out because your name is spelled a little bit unusually. So it's, at least in my world. So it's that
That
Michelle,
extra F.
ChatMichelle Wolff, WOLFF.com. So thatmichellewolff.com. No more hustle with human design. So, and again, just to let you guys know, this is the third cycle that Michelle has taught this, and she did sell out. So if you're really ready, and I've watched people go through this program, if you're really ready to learn to be in the flow of your design, and it's beautiful to do this in the context of business because the reward is sort of tangible and immediate. But as you said, there are other rewards that come from living true to yourself beyond just, oh, hey, now I can tackle what I need to do in the formula of my business.
Right.
Now I can be present to the complex conversations that I might have to have with people I love to set things up differently so that I stay in a space of self-worth and self-honoring. There's so many benefits that
Mhm.
transpire when you start to craft your life in this way and from this place of deep alignment. So thank you so much for joining us today, Michelle. I'm so excited to see your next evolution of this process, and love what you're doing. And thank you for being here and for helping us figure out basic steps on how to deal with the spinning in our heads.
Right. Thanks for having me.